Narcissists face worse karma than you could ever imagine. Have you ever met someone who just couldn't stop talking about themselves? Someone who is so wrapped up in their own world that they believe everyone else exists to serve them. A narcissist is someone who thrives on admiration, constantly seeking validation while stepping on others to maintain that sense of superiority. But here's the real kicker. What if I told you that narcissists, those individuals who often seem so invincible, so self-assured, actually face a form of karma far worse than you could ever imagine? What happens when their world of manipulation, deception, and self-obsession finally unravels? Karma doesn't simply punish them with misfortune or betrayal. It strips away everything that they've carefully crafted, their sense of control, their fake persona, and perhaps even their sense of self. Stick with me until the end, because what we're going to explore today might change the way you view not only narcissists, but also the very concept of karma itself. Hello and welcome. Before we jump into this deep dive, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with anyone who might need a little insight into how karma works, especially when it comes to narcissists. If you've ever dealt with one of these individuals, you know how challenging it can be. But have you ever wondered if the universe has a way of catching up with them in a way that's more devastating than we might realize? Today, we're going to talk about exactly how narcissists, who often seem immune to consequences, face a kind of karmic backlash that is far worse than anything they could ever anticipate. So, let's dive in. Narcissism is often seen as a personality trait, a craving for attention, or a self-centered attitude that might be easy to dismiss. But beneath this surface, narcissism is a deep-rooted psychological disorder that can lead to destructive behaviors not only in others, but in the narcissist themselves. While narcissists are often able to deceive and manipulate people for years, creating the illusion of success, confidence, and invulnerability, they ultimately live a life of fragility. They constantly fear being exposed and losing their self-image, and their inner world is filled with emptiness. But here's the thing. Narcissists can only sustain their false realities for so long. At some point, their behaviors catch up with them, and the karma they've been creating begins to play out in ways far worse than they could ever imagine. You may be asking yourself, what exactly is karma? In simplest terms, karma is the law of cause and effect, the idea that every action has consequences, and those consequences inevitably return to the person who initiated the action. However, karma isn't always immediate. It may not show up in a person's life right away, and for narcissists, their manipulative actions might not yield any visible consequences for years. But the universe doesn't forget. Eventually, narcissists will face a reckoning, and it's going to be far more brutal than they could have ever anticipated. The first step: manipulation and the false sense of control. Narcissists are experts in manipulating others. They charm, they flatter, and they create an illusion of being superior in every way. This sense of superiority is what drives them, and they thrive on being admired and praised by those around them. They often surround themselves with people who feed into their ego, providing them with constant validation. But here's the first catch. Narcissists are not truly in control. They have created an illusion of power built on a foundation of manipulation. While they believe they are directing the lives of others, they are in fact constantly walking on a tightrope. Each time they manipulate, gaslight, or deceive someone, they leave behind a trail of broken relationships, damaged self-esteem, and emotional scars. But narcissists rarely, if ever, stop to reflect on their actions. They can't see the destruction they leave in their wake, because they are too caught up in their own inflated self-image. The problem is that manipulation is exhausting, and eventually, narcissists begin to run out of people to exploit. Their pool of resources, the people who serve their need for admiration, shrinks, and they are left isolated and vulnerable. But this isn't the worst part. The true cost: spiritual bankruptcy. Narcissists live in a world of external validation. They need the praise of others to feel good about themselves. But over time, this reliance on external sources for self-worth takes a toll. The narcissist's inner life becomes hollow, and they begin to feel an increasing sense of emptiness. This is the phenomenon that I like to call spiritual bankruptcy. While a narcissist may have all the outward signs of success, wealth, status, admiration, the reality is that they are spiritually bankrupt. The more they manipulate and exploit, the more they erode their own sense of self-worth. They are so focused on external approval that they never develop the inner peace and self-awareness that most people take for granted. This internal emptiness is one of the greatest forms of karmic retribution. As the narcissist's world of illusions starts to crumble, they find themselves alone, with only the hollow shell of their ego to keep them company. The universe's response to their destructive actions is a kind of inner collapse. The more they hurt others, the more they hurt themselves. But here's the catch: narcissists are rarely aware of their spiritual emptiness. They don't have the self-awareness to look inward and see the damage they've done to themselves. Instead, they blame others, they make excuses, or they continue to manipulate to get what they want. This leads to a vicious cycle, where the narcissist's internal decay only accelerates. The consequence of isolation. As narcissists alienate those around them with their behavior, they face another form of karma: isolation. Relationships are the currency of human life. They provide meaning, comfort, and connection. But for narcissists, relationships are transactional. They use people for validation, admiration, and control, never giving back in a way that fosters genuine emotional connection. Eventually, people begin to see through the narcissist's facade. They start to recognize the manipulation, the lies, and the constant need for validation. And when the narcissist's behavior becomes too unbearable, they are cast aside. This is when the true karmic consequence begins to unfold. Narcissists are often left alone, with no one to turn to and no one who trusts them. In this isolation, they realize that their sense of superiority was a lie. But what's even worse for the narcissist is that, at this point, they begin to feel the weight of their own emptiness. They have no one left to validate them, no one to fill the void. This is the worst kind of karmic retribution because it forces them to confront the reality of who they really are. An empty shell of a person who never truly understood the value of love, respect, and compassion. The long-term consequences, the breaking point. Now let's talk about the breaking point. The true horror of narcissistic karma isn't necessarily immediate. It isn't about losing a job or a relationship, though these things may happen. The real devastation occurs when the narcissist reaches a point of self-doubt, when they are forced to confront the emptiness inside themselves. As narcissists grow older and their bodies and minds start to deteriorate, their facade begins to crack. The reflection in the mirror becomes harder to ignore. The confidence they once had is replaced with insecurity. They begin to see their flaws, but because narcissism prevents them from accepting responsibility for their actions, they continue to blame others. They never connect the dots between their own behavior and the mess they've created in their lives. This is when karma truly delivers its most severe punishment. The more narcissists try to regain control over their lives, the more they alienate themselves. People stop tolerating their behavior, and opportunities start to slip away. But more than anything, They are left with a deep, gnawing sense of loneliness that cannot be filled by material success or superficial relationships. Their karma is complete. Conclusion: the ultimate karma. So, what does narcissism ultimately lead to? It leads to a life filled with empty victories and hollow accomplishments. It leads to the destruction of relationships, self-esteem, and inner peace. Narcissists may think they can control others, but in the end, it is they who are controlled by their own ego, by their own fear, and by the karmic consequences of their actions. Thank you for watching this video and taking the time to understand how karma works with narcissists. If you found this insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, the universe has a way of dealing with narcissists that is far worse than we could ever imagine. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is step back and let karma handle it. This 3-second test exposes a narcissist. Imagine this. You've been talking to someone for weeks, maybe even months, and everything seems perfect. They shower you with compliments, make you feel like the most important person in the room, and you start to feel truly valued and appreciated. They're charming, attentive, and seem to truly listen when you speak. You think to yourself, "Wow, I've finally met someone who understands me." But then, as time goes on, things start to shift. The energy changes. Suddenly they're distant, aloof, and less engaged. They may even start to treat you in a condescending way or completely ignore you when you need them most. You're left confused, wondering what happened. This is the classic pattern of narcissism. A person who seems wonderful at first, but whose true colours start to show when you least expect it. Narcissists are masters at manipulation, often creating a facade of warmth and affection, only to reveal their emotional shallowness once they feel they've secured your attention. But here's the good news. There's a simple 3-second test that can help you identify a narcissist and expose their true nature. It's a test that doesn't require hours of therapy, complex analysis, or specialized training. In just 3 seconds, you'll be able to see through the mask and recognize if someone is a narcissist. Intrigued? You should be. Because this test will not only help you recognize narcissism, but it will also give you the clarity you need to decide whether someone is worth your time or whether it's time to walk away. In the next sections, I'm going to walk you through how this 3-second test works, what you should look for, and why narcissists are so adept at hiding their true selves, at least for a while. Stay with me as we explore how, in the blink of an eye, you can spot a narcissist and understand why they behave the way they do. Hey everyone, before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who's ever been in a relationship, friendship, or workplace dynamic with someone who made them feel off, like things weren't quite adding up. Narcissists often leave people feeling confused, drained, and unsure of what's real. But I'm here to show you how you can tell the difference between someone who genuinely cares and someone who is only in it for themselves. So, you've been spending time with someone who seems to be everything you've ever wanted. At first, they make you feel special, important, and appreciated. But as the days go on, you begin to notice that something is off. They may act differently when they think no one is watching. They seem to treat people differently based on their status, showing kindness to those who can offer them something and ignoring or belittling those they perceive as beneath them. Maybe they give you mixed signals, acting distant 1 minute and then charming the next. These shifts in behavior leave you questioning, what is going on? It's at this point that the 3-second test becomes invaluable. Let's break it down. The 3-second test explained. This test involves observing someone's reaction when they don't think they're being watched. Narcissists, despite their outward charm and confidence, are very careful about how they present themselves to others. They've spent years, if not decades, perfecting the art of emotional manipulation. They want to come across as perfect, caring, and in control. But here's the thing. Underneath their polished exterior, there's a different story, one that often reveals itself when they think they're not being observed. So, here's the test. The next time you're in a social setting, pay attention to how the person interacts with others when they think they're not being scrutinized. How do they treat people who can't do anything for them? People who don't have the power to boost their ego or provide some form of validation. For example, observe how they treat waitstaff, receptionists, or even people who aren't important in their eyes. If you notice that they're dismissive, rude, or even condescending towards these people, you've just witnessed one of the key signs of narcissism. Narcissists are often quite adept at hiding their true selves, especially in the early stages of a relationship. They know how to charm and flatter, how to make you feel as though you're the most important person in their life. But when they think no one is looking, or when they feel safe enough to let their guard down, that's when their real nature shines through. This is the moment when the 3-second test works. Narcissists, by their very nature, are emotionally shallow. They seek admiration, validation, and attention. But the moment they feel secure in your admiration, or the moment they think you're not paying attention, they may reveal their true feelings about others. The way they treat people who can't serve them in some way exposes the emptiness behind their charm. Why does this happen? It's because narcissists are fundamentally driven by their own self-image. They view themselves as superior, and when they're in a situation where they feel in control, like a dinner with friends or a casual meeting with a colleague, they may let their true emotions leak out. If they feel like they can't gain anything from someone, their interest vanishes. They stop pretending to care and instead show the cold, dismissive side that they typically keep hidden. But it's not just about how they treat others. Pay close attention to how they react to your own emotional vulnerability. When you share something personal or emotional with a narcissist, they may seem interested at first, offering some sympathy or playing the role of a good listener. But if you notice that they suddenly change the subject, dismiss your concerns, or deflect the conversation back to themselves, that's another telltale sign that you're dealing with a narcissist. This reaction may seem subtle, but it speaks volumes about their true intentions. Narcissists are rarely interested in anyone else's emotions unless those emotions serve them in some way. If you're not providing them with validation or feeding their ego, they quickly lose interest. They'll shift the focus back to themselves, their accomplishments, or their feelings, showing you just how shallow their emotional engagement truly is. Why the 3-second test works? You might be wondering, why is this 3-second test so accurate? Well, narcissists are deeply invested in managing their image. They want to appear perfect, kind, and in control, so they put up a facade that they can maintain for a while. However, that mask isn't invincible. The truth is that narcissists have fragile egos that require constant reinforcement. And the more they get away with pretending to be someone they're not, the more likely they are to slip up when they feel safe or no longer under scrutiny. The reason the 3-second test is so effective is that it forces a narcissist into a position where their mask can't be maintained. When they're interacting with someone who they perceive as below them, someone they have nothing to gain from, their true nature emerges. You see, narcissists aren't capable of forming genuine emotional connections. Their relationships are transactional, based on what they can extract from others. So when they're not getting anything from someone, when there's no validation, no admiration, and no sense of control, they reveal their indifference and disdain. This is the moment when the narcissist exposes themselves. They may not even realize it, but their behavior in these situations shows you exactly who they are. It's a behavior pattern that is incredibly difficult to hide, and it's one of the easiest ways to spot a narcissist, especially when they believe they're not being observed. How to protect yourself from narcissists. Once you've identified a narcissist using the 3-second test, what should you do next? The first step is recognizing that narcissists are emotional predators. They feed off the admiration and attention of others, and they will continue to manipulate and control until they have drained every ounce of energy they can. Understanding this is crucial. Narcissists don't have the capacity for healthy, reciprocal relationships, and they view others as mere tools for their own emotional survival. Protecting yourself starts with setting firm boundaries. Narcissists thrive in relationships where there are no limits or consequences to their behavior. They will push, prod, and test your boundaries until you're emotionally drained. But when you know how to recognize them and understand their patterns, you can start to create distance and protect your emotional well-being. The second step is self-awareness. Know that narcissists will attempt to gaslight you, manipulate you, and turn things around so that you end up questioning yourself. But once you've identified their behavior, you'll be much less susceptible to their tactics. Trust your intuition and don't second-guess yourself. Lastly, if you find that you can't escape the narcissist from your life, whether it's a family member, a romantic partner, or a colleague, consider seeking professional help. Therapy can be incredibly valuable in helping you navigate the complexities of dealing with narcissists and healing from the emotional toll they can cause. And there you have it. In just 3 seconds, you can expose a narcissist for who they truly are. By observing their reactions when they think no one is looking, you'll uncover their true nature. Narcissists can charm their way into your life, but once you know how to spot the signs, you'll be able to protect yourself from their manipulations. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more content on understanding human behavior and protecting yourself from toxic relationships. Remember, you deserve relationships built on honesty, respect, and real connection. Don't settle for less. Demonic mind games narcissists use to manipulate you. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who made you feel like you were constantly walking on eggshells? Someone who could turn a simple disagreement into an all-out emotional battlefield, leaving you questioning your sanity. You may have wondered, am I imagining things? Is it me, or is this person just playing mind games with me? If this sounds familiar, then you're not alone. Narcissists are masters of psychological manipulation, and they play mind games that are so subtle and so expertly crafted that they leave you